Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and we have such heavy hearts. If you live here in Minneapolis, you know what happened and the consequences. None of us can forget the image of the white police officer with his knee on the African American, Mr. George Floyd. Though cries for help and to be able to breathe were being uttered, the officer didn't relent, and Mr. Floyd died. Before I say anything else, I just want to acknowledge the fact that there are many fine men and women, police officers, here in Minneapolis and across this nation who are trying to uphold justice and fairness in the best way possible. And I want you to be praying for them, especially those associated with our church family, who try their best to keep the peace and protect us while being a Christian witness as well. But so oftentimes the rogue act of a few who are not compliant, who become arrogant for whatever reason, then tends to cast a shadow over everyone. You know, as I think about that image, I can't help but think of the early chapters of Genesis when you have the image of Cain killing his brother Abel. They came from the same mother, had the same creator God. Yet Cain became filled with pride and anger and jealousy and murdered his brother. And violence has been taking place ever since. It's a reminder to me that everybody I see around me is my brother and my sister. We come ultimately from the same parents, created by the same God who created us in his image, who's charged us to respect everyone who's created in his image. As I think about that scene, I think that it's easy for us sometimes to say, well, it's not my problem, but it is our problem. You know, in the Bible, oftentimes leaders like Daniel or Nehemiah, when they confessed the sins of the nation, would include themselves in it. They would say, our sins, what we have done. And I think it's important for us to just acknowledge that, to own the sin of our community and just simply say, God, this is our sin. Look what we have done. These are our hearts. These are our attitudes, and they're wrong, and we beg you for your forgiveness. I think it's important as we look at this to remember that the solution to the problems that we're facing in our society is not rooted in policy necessarily. It's rooted in the scriptures. It's humbling ourselves and realizing that we're all sinners and we desperately need God to change our hearts. And until God changes our hearts, it's going to be so hard to change. So I want to ask you to do three things with me. First, I want to ask you to please pray for yourself. The Bible tells us to examine our own hearts frequently before God and ask him to search out in us any sin that might be there. Perhaps we need to do that. And ask God to show you and show me, to show us, is there something in my life, Lord, that's wrong in my attitude, my behavior of how I see others? And confess that and seek his forgiveness. Secondly, I think it's important for us to ask ourselves, even though we may feel that we aren't racist, is there anything that we're supporting or doing that does support a policy or a way of doing business that is disingenuous toward others because of their background, socially or by race or by economy? And make sure that what we speak for, what we vote for, what we support is fair and equitable, and when it's not, then to speak up. Like I said, the violence, the looting that we see taking place right now is inexcusable. But so is the sin of prejudice, bias, any attitude of supremacy. And that too must be dealt with. Then I want to encourage you to please pray for our leaders. Pray that they would somehow humble themselves and realize how much and how desperately they and this nation need God. Pray they'll do what is right. Pray that politics somehow be put aside and what is truth will be dealt with, what is right will be handled, and that justice will prevail. And finally, I want to invite you to a special opportunity this coming Sunday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. We're going to have a Zoom prayer vigil together. And if you can join me, all you have to do is email prayer@wooddale.org. Email prayer@wooddale.org, and you'll get your Zoom invite. It's this coming Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m., and I hope you'll be there. I'll be speaking to us a few minutes, We'll have various leaders lead us through time of prayer. You'll be praying in chat room with other Wooddalers. And we're just going to pray. We're going to pray and ask for God to intervene. We're going to pray for our brothers and our sisters in downtown Minneapolis and throughout the Twin Cities. We're going to pray for our leaders. We're going to pray for our African-American pastors who are struggling right now to deal with the pain in their community, as well as calling people to calmness and peace. They need prayer, and prayer is powerful. And it's time for God's people to come together. So I hope I see you Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m., this very special prayer opportunity. Again, just email prayer@wooddale.org to get your Zoom invite. Thank you, and continue to please pray and to be safe.